Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. Because it is Black History Month, on the course of the month of February being Black History Month, something I did last year is I looked at the first African American man to win the World Heavyweight Championship last year. That distinction going to Ron Simmons in WCW. But who was the first black person to win the WWE Championship? That was, of course, Kofi Kingston, and we see him do it in not just a really solid match, but also a match with one of the best WrestleMania builds of all time. Perhaps, as I'm of course talking about WrestleMania 35, as Kofi Kingston seeks to take the WWE Championship from Daniel Bryan. As always, I'm not professional wrestling reviewer, analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely had a good time with this match. Like I said, one of the best WrestleMania match builds of all time. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of know how this works. If you haven't, I'm gonna be talking about what I liked and disliked about the match. So, starting with what I liked, pretty much everything. And like I said, and this is not the third time I'm mentioning it. It's it's legit. One of the best WrestleMania builds. Kofi Kingston overcoming all of the obstacles, put in his place for literally no reason by Vince McMahon. There is a certain implied reason, but not outright stated. But overcoming every obstacle, having to win several gauntlet matches. The other members of the New Day, that being Xavier Woods and Big E, having to win gauntlet matches, which is how we got the Usos face turn at the time, because the Usos, because of their previous feud / battles with the New Day, which I definitely want to review some of those on the channel at some point in the future, or for sure. But they decided they wouldn't fight the New Day, and the New Day having to overcome all the odds, overcome all the obstacles, and the natural integrated story of because this is essentially something 10 years in the making. So the story goes back in 2009. Kofi Kingston was actually being earmarked for a potential WWE title win, and this way he was getting a solid push feuding with Randy Orton, and it was apparently supposed to result in him becoming WWE champion, but Randy, he shut that down, and really for a pretty petty reason. After Kofi accidentally he got up when Randy was going for the punt, and so Randy RKO'd him and yelled at him, "Stupid, stupid," which pretty much like killed the push dead. And so Kofi having to wait another 10 years, and by that time Kofi he while still achieving single success such as like the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship, also becoming a tag team specialist with teams like Air Boom, or the team with him and R-Truth, or more specifically the New Day, of course. Whereas which the New Day, they still a little over like Rover at this time, and they still kind of are for the most part, but definitely still over at this time. New Day probably one of like the best factions in WWE history. And feel free to argue with me on that, but so all that Kofi having to overcome all those obstacles, getting back to this moment, and being denied time after time, I'm coming up short in the Royal Rumble, and as well as within the Elimination Chamber, Kobe having to pretty much fight the world in order to get this shot. And Daniel Bryan, the biggest irony of all, but obviously it was done on purpose. Daniel Bryan, this is when he was as a heel. This is when he was the new Daniel Bryan. He had the eco-friendly W Championship. He was the super eco warrior, or if you will, the super eco warrior, or essentially the caricatures of like the eco-friendly, eco-environmentalist types of people. Even though that eco-friendly W Championship was pretty cool looking, but Daniel Bryan and calling Kofi Kingston a B+ player, the same label given to Daniel Bryan by the Authority back when Daniel Bryan was going after the WWE Championship in 2014 in slash 2013. But so that irony culminating in this match. Will Kofi be able to overcome the odds and win the WWE Championship? So just that road to get there, which apparently wasn't supposed to go to Kingston. Apparently, if it's to be believed, Mustafa Ali was supposed to get this shot, but because Ali had gotten injured, the spot went to Kofi instead. And Mustafa Ali was supposed to win the Elimination Chamber. I forgot exactly who won the Chamber match that year, but yeah, Mustafa Ali was supposed to. I think it was Daniel Bryan who won the Chamber that year, because I think that was when it was for the WWE Championship. If I could be thinking of the World Heavyweight Championship one from 2012. Or so. I think that might be the case. I'm not entirely sure. Let me know if I'm correct or incorrect about that. But yeah, so Kofi having to really rise his way to the top to get this title match, and this match was that. So now that the bill's out of the way, let's talk about the match. The match was fantastic, showing both sides, showing what both guys are good at. And of course, Kofi, he very much a high flyer. And you see Kofi like fighting against all of Daniel Bryan's offense, having to overcome literally all of Daniel Bryan's offense. Meanwhile, Daniel Bryan very much that technician, the striker, and some really nail-biting false finishes. Only one running knee kick out in this match. Thankfully, they didn't overdo it. Hit Rowan, who was accompanied with Daniel Bryan at this time. Of course, their partnership would would end and later on in 2019. But Rowan tried to get involved and taken out by the rest of the New Day, who are accompanying Kofi Kingston to this match. And Kofi ultimately overcoming all of Daniel Bryan's offense and including not one but two label locks. Kofi powering out, even getting some stomps of his own in on Daniel Bryan. Not like the Seth Rollins curb stomps, but obviously when Daniel Bryan kicks someone's effing head in, and slash Bryan Danielson, of course. Whereas Kofi delivering some of those, also nailing the Trouble in Paradise. The only one he actually hit in the match to put away Daniel Bryan and win the WWE Championship. Afterwards, the celebration from the New Day. You even see Xavier Woods actually crying because of just the emotion of this moment. And the crowd was red hot for Kofi. He throughout this whole match, like wanting this moment for Kofi, and he definitely got it. Being able to celebrate with his children and everything, and the old eco-friendly championship tossed out, bring back the old slash recent ish WWE Championship design for Kofi to wield. Eco-friendly no more. Kofi now WWE Champion, and it was just a really fun match. It was a really nail-biting match. It still gave me goosebumps, even though I knew how the match ended because I watched it live. I've obviously at the time I'm being, of course, WrestleMania 35, watching the whole show. Oh, and yeah, I watched the whole thing, except for the main event, which I talked about before when I finally got around to reviewing Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. If you haven't already, go check out that review from last year, where the feed cut out at the last match, but by that point I just given up because it was already pretty damn late. Yeah, but just revisiting that moment again, just getting those goosebumps all over again, just getting all excited all over again, and seeing that moment to the point where there is no cons, just pros. This match was phenomenal. The build to it was phenomenal. Kofi getting that time in the sun after 10 long years. Even the commentary, he wasn't too egregious. Just a beautiful, awesome, wonderful moment. Like even though 2019 as a whole was kind of rough for WWE, they at least had this moment, and Kofi forever has this moment. And a more personal anecdote, even though this doesn't really affect me because I watched it on playback on the WWE Network, the fact that it was pretty early in the show, before we were only 2 hours in, so a pretty decent length into the show, not too late to where the rest of the audience gets tired, like some of the later matches, such as the aforementioned women's triple threat for the titles. It was a perfect placement, so the crowd was still red hot into it. And yeah, so just phenomenal stuff of Kofi Kingston making history, being the first black WWE champion, and I wish I could have told you that the reign he had with the WWE Championship, it was a fantastic one, but sadly it was not. And I definitely want to talk about it more in a future video, because all three of like the major world title changes, that being the WWE Championship, the Universal Championship, and the two Women's Championships, all three of those reigns kind of sucked. But Kofi's, I think, hurt the worst as because he was still kind of very much entrenched in the New Day. Kind of had some lackluster feuds with guys like Randy and Samoa Joe. The Randy one, actually, the feud was kind of interesting, playing up on Randy's involvement in Kofi losing his push. But otherwise, it wasn't really that great of a reign, which is really sad because of everything leading into it, the excitement of him finally getting the moment. And it's something where the moment was more impactful than the reign itself, which is unfortunate. And then, of course, it ending in about say 8 seconds to the hands of Brock Lesnar on the SmackDown premiere on Fox. Thanks for all your hard work, Kofi. You know, get squashed by Brock Lesnar just so he can be in a pointless feud with Cain Velasquez for the WWE Championship, which that I will definitely talk about at some point in the future. But we will still sit here and enjoy the moment. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on the match and my review. Did you like this match? Did you like my review of the match? Let me know. And what is your thoughts on Kofi Kingston's reign as WWE Champion? Like I said, I definitely want to talk about those 3 title wins. And in fact, I'll probably do that like next month because we'll be closer to WrestleMania time, so I definitely want to do that in the future. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.